Welcome to The Fashion Department, a podcast that will explore the world of fashion and how it informs all aspects of life, from dress to lifestyle to food and travel. From stylists to designers to influencers to shop owners, you'll hear the latest scoop du jour. And now let me introduce you to your fabulous host, Tina Bricoli, a Greenwich, Connecticut-based wardrobe stylist and radio show personality. With over 20 years in the fashion industry, Tina will share her take on style, trends, the business of fashion, and her sartorial sense. Here's your host.
Welcome to the Fashion Department. Well, spring has sprung here in the Fashion Department, and we love talking about trends and styling and beauty and shopping tips, and my favorite, the business of fashion. As I promised, I would bring you some special guests this season, and we are going to hear from fashion insiders, influencers, and designers. So today I have two very special guests in studio with me. I have Nick and Jenny. They're from Pologeorgis. It is a New York City-based luxury outerwear brand, and they have a new location in Greenwich, Connecticut, a brick-and-mortar location. And Nick and Jenny, welcome to the Fashion Department.
Thank you for having us, Tina.
Thanks for having us, Tina.
So excited. So let's dive right into this because we have a lot to unpack here. Nick, let's start with you. So let's start at the beginning. Company's founded by your dad in the 60s. He was a master craftsman, developed lots of relationships between designers and the fur industry, really sort of pioneering that. And then at some point, I know I'm skipping around, but I want you to fill in the blanks. You joined the company and sort of take over. So take us through where it started for you and kind of up to current day.
Okay, so my father started the company in 1960. He worked, like you said, with designers like in the early 70s, mid-70s. He made a license with Pierre Balmain, which is now called Balmain.
Oh.
And then he made garments at the time for a designer called Jimmy Galanos. Galanos was a couture designer. And I joined in 1984 after finishing university.
Okay. Did you go to design school?
I did not.
Okay.
I graduated from finance, but I decided to go into the fur business, but I've always worked in the fur business.
Right.
So I've worked my summers. It was a family business. I've always helped out and grew up learning the fur business.
So at what point did you say, was it kind of just assumed you were going to take over the business, or was there a point where you said, maybe I should?
One year into college,
Okay.
I decided to change. So
Okay.
I went to school for engineering.
Oh, okay.
And then I decided it's not for me. It was too boring.
Right.
So I changed and told my father, and he started to groom me.
Okay. Nice. I guess that might have been what his dream was, yeah? That you would take over.
Maybe. I'm not sure. My father was a very laid-back guy. He let you do whatever you wanted. So
Okay.
he didn't really push me one way or the other. He was very happy I came in, but he didn't want to tell me to come in.
Nice. And your family's from Greece, correct?
Yes.
So is your father, was he first generation?
I'm the first generation.
You are.
We're the first. Both my parents were born in Greece. They came after the war, World War II.
Okay.
When, everything was pretty much, a lot of problems in Greece at the time.
Okay. And were they both in the fashion industry or some sort of design industry background?
No, not at all. My father just ended up, he came as an immigrant, went to school, he was in the Navy. He ended up working in the fur industry. He needed a job.
Oh, interesting.
And he was very talented with his hands.
Okay.
And he just worked his way up and from sewing to making coats to selling.
Wow. And you do everything at the company, correct? Currently.
Yes.
What do you do? What do you like most? Do you like designing, selling? What aspect of the business do you like now, today?
I like to buy product.
Okay.
And to be able to pick the special material that we love and, find great value for all our customers. I like to sell. And I like to, it's fantastic how you can meet people from all over the world and create products that they love.
Yeah. So, Jenny.
Yes.
You are director of PR. Did I
Yes.
get that right? Okay. And you've been with the company a long time, right?
Yep.
So in your opinion, how has the company changed? I mean, because it's still family owned. And I think I said this before, it's very easy, especially a retail business, to not make it. I mean, it's really difficult. It's kind of like the restaurant business. And especially when this is something so specific. So how do you think, in your opinion and your experience with the company, how long have you been there?
Over 20 years.
Okay. What do you think is kind of the one main ingredient that sort of can attribute to the success of the company?
Yeah, that's interesting. I think that everything that Nick and Joan and the people that work at our company put our name on, the name of Pologeorgis, has to stand for something. It stands for quality and craftsmanship and well-made products. And Nick is very proud of all the pieces that we make, and we don't sell anything that we're not proud of.
Right.
So, a lot of the products are made by hand in New York City by a group of super talented people that every day come to work and think, how can we make this product more refined, more beautiful, more wearable, and better? It's ever evolving.
Right. Oh,
Yeah.
I like that. Ever evolving. Okay, so let's spin off of that topic. So let's get into the furs. Okay, so what goes into, love to know the process of how it's made, where they're made, all of that stuff for Pologeorgis. By the way, I want to pause for a minute for our listeners. If you haven't been to their new store, they're New York City based, but they've got a fabulous brick and mortar at 25 Lewis Street in Greenwich, Connecticut. Their website is pologeorgis.com, and you can also find them on Instagram, which I feel like that's where everyone shops these days. They have some fabulous, gorgeous furs, shearlings, and lots of other things, which we're going to get to in a bit. So let's talk about the furs, the making of the furs, how that happens, where that happens. Tell us the process, either one of you. Nick?
Okay, so we buy a supply of different types of furs. We make them on 29th Street in New York. We have a team of people that specialize in different parts of the production.
Mm-hmm.
We create styles and, just step back one. Our main business was licensing designers.
Right.
So we would really create collections for different designers, Michael Kors, Zach Posen, Monique Lillier. We work with Derek Lam, Ralph Rucci.
And this is for years. Your dad kind of started this, correct?
My dad did. It stopped. And then really around the mid to early 90s, we started to become a vendor for Neiman Marcus. And they saw that we were able to create a great product for a very good price, and they pushed me into designers. So the first designer we worked with in 1995 was Zandra Rhodes.
Wow.
From London, and they had somebody that was making it at the time, but he would only make sketches, and they couldn't really buy well from that. So the first year, we made a collection with Zandra Rhodes and created this beautiful, beautiful collection that was exclusive for Neiman Marcus. The following year, I ended up meeting Michael Kors, and he picked us to be their designer, and we started to work with them. The year after that, I picked up Zach Posen. Now we had a third collection. The year after that, 97 was Ralph Rucci. Mm-hmm. The year after that, or the 2 years after that, was Zach Posen, who was first starting out.
I was going to say, how old was Zach Posen?
Zach
He's
Posen,
not that old. Yeah.
He started young, and we've always done special collections for Black Glamour. And I don't know if anybody knows or remembers from years ago, what makes a legend most. And it was a great campaign where you had many actresses in the past that were photographed in it. Mm-hmm. And like in the future now, in the past so many years, we've did like Giselle and other superstars that were considered a legend.
Right.
And we helped create these collections for Black Llama. So we moved ahead and we were making collections for different designers. And we would, take the pictures, take their theory, what they wanted to make, and create it in fur.
Wow.
So now we are changing. As we're changing, we're doing that for ourselves. And we're doing more direct to the consumer, still working with designers on different things.
Nice. So really, because I feel like everyone collaborates now with designers. I feel like it's a thing. Influencers and actresses and models. But you guys were doing it way before it was a thing. Yeah. And for the real deal, for these, big designers, heavy hitters, what I would call it. So you've got the experience. All right. So take me through, if someone comes in and they say, I've never owned a fur. And they're a little leery, and they're like, because there's a huge world out there, obviously, of faux fur, and we know how that goes. Take us through, why should they buy real fur, and then how would they choose it?
So real fur is, first of all, very warm.
Right.
Number two, it's a beautiful, sustainable product.
We love that word.
And it comes now in all different sizes, shapes, colors, heights of hair.
Yeah.
So you can pick a lot of different things. A fur is soft, and there's a difference to it. It's like wrapping something beautiful around you. It's not like wrapping a piece of plastic around you.
Like faux fur.
Like faux fur, which is a petro product that's, terrible for the environment, not as warm, and really not as cozy.
Right.
So
never as, sorry to interrupt you, but never as soft.
No.
I mean, I own both, to be fair, but I have very different expectations of a faux fur coat versus a real fur. And if you're buying a faux fur, I mean, you have to think about this. Like, would you rather spend your money or make the investment? Yes, it's bad for the environment, the faux fur, for sure. But set that aside for a minute, and let's just say it's, equal. Why would you then spend your money on something that is really, really just disposable? And like you said, not warm. It's never as soft as, because they make some decent faux furs now. They're better than what they were, but never, ever as good as a real fur.
Right. And, how many faux furs will you buy in the lifetime of the fur you own?
Good point.
So the thing is, at the end of the day, is it less expensive or is it not?
Right.
And maybe the beautiful fur you have, maybe you got it from your mother. Mm-hmm. Maybe you got it from your grandmother.
Oh, yes. Love this.
These are redone, and they can last, some coats can last 40 years, and you could redo them and make them new. So there's a lot to getting a fur. But when you come in and you're decided already, yes, I want to have a fur, you have to know what you want. Do you want to wear something that's day to night? Do you want it just to be sporty? Do you want it for evening? There's so many different things. How warm do you really need to be? And for what purpose? So, if it's a first fur, I'll lead the girls to something day to night. Right. Where they can, in case they're walking around during the day, but then they're going to a beautiful dinner at night. Can they do, there's different directions.
Wear for both. And obviously where you're wearing it to versus LA or New York, also
Right.
very different.
Right.
So it's basically like, if you think of a fur, you just think of the gamut of coats. And we have little leather jackets, we have big fluffy puffer coats, we have different functions for different things. So fur is the same pretty much.
Yes.
It can be more fashionable, it can be more sporty, it can be luxurious, it can be more for, not that they're all warm, but if you're, you need a full length because you're going to Aspen versus a little cropped capelet. So, and you've got it all. What if someone wants to customize something? By the way, side note about when you said about getting a fur from your grandmother or your mother, my furs, so I don't have any from my grandmother, but my furs are I have one that's new, almost all vintage. That were not passed down. I wish they were. But I bought them vintage. And that was one of the reasons why I just fell in love with the fur. And every year, some of them I've had 15, 16, 17 years. Every single year I take them out and I wear one. I love it more and more each year. I always get compliments, always, because it's usually styles from like the 70s. Those are the styles I kind of like. And I feel like it never gets old and it never
So
goes out.
I am just thinking of a quick story. I had a customer who came in who bought from my father 1972.
Great year, by the way.
Oh, so she buys this beautiful coat. She didn't know who my father was. She was looking, checking. She ends up buying this coat. So she's looking, and at the time then you would present pelts and skins and to show what it is. She's like, oh my God, gorgeous skins, and the man is so nice and beautiful styles. This is my place to buy furs. So she buys this fur. And she's bought furs after that. But move forward, it was her first coat, and it's mid-80s, and now she's gained some weight. Gained weight, she doesn't know what to do. She has this beautiful coat, and she has her best friend who's also a business partner, a little slimmer than her. She gives her the coat, and the woman was ecstatic.
Whoa,
so now this
my
is
kind of
late
friend.
80s. So she gives her the coat, goes on. Now it's fast forward. It is now 2020 or 2019, and she had gained too much weight, but she had a beautiful daughter who was going to school. She just became a lawyer, so she's like, tells her friend, your coat that you gave me, I don't fit into it anymore. But I have my daughter who has always loved that coat. And she's like, of course, give it to her. She was like her daughter herself. So she passes the coat on to her. And now, unfortunately, that woman died, passed away.
Oh.
But the daughter's still there and still part of my original customer's family, like
Right.
seeing her, whatever, at events. She sees her all the time with that coat. She sees her. When she sees her, all a flood of memories of her, her girlfriend, and now her daughter in 2023 wearing this coat. And this is a story she told me when she just came in around December this year.
Right.
And when she told me this story, and she said it much better than me, I have to admit, much, much better. But the story was such a beautiful story that I can't even forget it.
Yeah.
How from that coat, 1972 to 2023, went from her to her girlfriend's daughter, and who knows where it'll go from now.
Right.
And that's the beauty of fur.
Yeah.
And also when you look at, like you just said, you take them out and you see these beautiful coats, you have memories.
Right.
Lots of memories from every event.
Right. And especially that one. I mean, I don't have any memories of people, so that's even better. That's a memory of friendships and relationships that, it's more than just a garment. And I think that's the important part. It becomes part of a story.
How they all cherished it and passed it on and passed it on, which I think is a beautiful...
Absolutely. Like an heirloom. I love that. So, okay, you're dressing fabulous women. So who do you think is the most memorable celebrity? I know you've dressed lots of people, and we're going to get into that a little more later, but one of your most fabulous, memorable moments of dressing a celebrity?
So there's a lot.
Okay.
One
Just pick
memorable one is, because I've never had a chance to meet her again, was Aretha Franklin.
Oh, my gosh.
So I was called in. She was in New York at the time. I had to go up to the hotel room.
Okay.
I had to quickly show her what we thought she wanted. She was looking for something specifically. We had to take measurements.
Was she performing? Or was
She
this
was
an
getting-
appearance?
Well, she was there for performing, I think, and she just wanted this coat.
Okay.
And somehow she tracked us down through friends.
Word of mouth, probably, too,
And
right?
that's it. I
Yeah.
went up there. I made a quick muslin so we can fit her the next day. We fit her to make sure it would fit well, and then we made a garment and then shipped it to her. But it was like to see her behind the scenes.
Right.
It wasn't seeing Aretha Franklin on stage.
Right.
It was Aretha Franklin at home on a Sunday morning.
Right.
And it was unbelievable.
Were you starstruck?
I was a little. I
Yeah.
didn't know what to expect. And but she was great, and she was busy and doing, and it was just it was fun.
And then you obviously saw what she wore afterwards. How surreal was that?
Well, that was completely different.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's unbelievable what they do.
Right. Incredible. I love it. One more story, because I know this story and I like this. This is a quick one. So when I met you, you told me this story. You're mentioned in a very famous book/movie, The Devil Wears Prada. So I have to say, first of all, one of my favorite movies. I had a radio show for many, many years in Greenwich, and my intro music was Madonna's Vogue. And not because of course I love Madonna, but because that was the music of the movie. So I felt like, well, if you know, you know. And of course my friends in the industry were like, is that because it's the Devil Wears Prada thing? I said, yes, of course. So near and dear to my heart. So tell us, you're mentioned, where you mentioned, why are you mentioned in the movie, correct? Or the book, the book.
So yes, we were, at the time, it was years ago, we were new. All the girls, honestly, at that time from magazines would come to us and get garments. We had Michael Kors, he was booming, and all the other designers. These young editors would come in, and we'd give them fantastic prices, as we do now with everybody. And so they wrote a book, and the book was about different things. You remember the movie, of course, and all about fashion. So they mentioned, at the time, Jay Mendel was considered a top furrier.
Yes.
So they mentioned, when he was talking to the girls, saying that, you probably go to buy I can't remember now, maybe Louboutin shoes or Jay Mendel furs or this. So at the end, when she's replying about, to be honest, what was the name of the...
I think it said something like a real fashion girl.
But what was the name of the company? Instead of being Vogue, it was whatever they were called in the book.
Oh, right.
Anyway,
Runway.
Runway, that's it.
A real runway girl doesn't go to Jay Mendel. A real runway girl goes to 29th Street at Pologeorgis and gets a beautiful custom-made coat. So that was and a funny part to that story is I have a cousin who was in Greece, like a year, right when the book came out.
Yeah.
He's on the beach, and who does he meet is
Lauren Weisberg.
Lauren
the
Weisberg.
author,
yes,
Right.
of the book.
He's on the beach. He's there. All of a sudden, I get a call in the summer, and it's my cousin George, who just so happens to be the ambassador to Greece right now.
Oh, we love that.
So he calls me. He's like, Nick, I'm sitting here with Lauren Weisberg. Oh, no, I'm sitting here reading a book, The Devil Wears Prada. And on page 29, it talks about your company. I'm like, yeah, George, that was it. It was funny.
That's so
And he met
cool.
her, and he was hanging out with her for a day or two in Greece.
Nice. That's so funny. So now I want to rewatch the movie. Why did they put that in the movie?
They didn't put it in the movie.
Okay.
But the movie is different, a little bit different.
Right. But I do have the book. I did read the book.
And they're making a remake.
They are making a remake. I did hear that, yeah. I don't know how I feel about that, but okay.
The original was good.
Yeah, that's usually how it goes, right?
Yes.
But all right, you got to mention, and the in-girls were wearing Pologeorgis.
That was the time when we called them Voguettes. There were so many of the young fashion girls and advertising girls that would come and just buy, and they would look so great in 4 Times Square that everybody else in the building would want to come and see us as well.
Kind of like in the movie, they call them the clackers, right? The girls, they wear the high heels and they clack on the marble floor.
Yeah.
I think I've always been a clacker my whole life. That's really cool. So have you met some? Do you have a memorable moment you want to share of a celebrity or...
there were times that, Vogue and the fashion magazines would ask for anything, and we would try to get it done. We wanted to be in the magazines. We wanted to promote fur, and they were doing a shoot with Grace Coddington, and one of the junior editors said, well, Grace wants to cover 2 motorcycle helmets with mink. And we want one in white and one in black. And I said to Nick, oh, well, can we do this? He said, yes, say yes. And
good answer.
Then they said, well, we're going to need them tomorrow.
Oh,
so
still say yes?
I said, okay, can you get me the, because we don't have motorcycle helmets just hanging around.
Right.
So they sent them, and they ended up using the white one.
Wow.
In a shoot. But
That's
they,
really cool.
They think we can just make anything. And we can.
Yeah, but and kudos to you guys for doing that. But that's, you probably know this already. That's how the fashion industry works. It's last minute. Can you get this now? I've been on plenty of shoots, or I've been contacted, I should say, to do something. There's this celebrity or there's this person. This happened to me recently, right before the pandemic, and this person needs. I'm not going to mention the person because they weren't very nice, but they needed a red dress for a certain event, and it was in February, so it was during Fashion Week, and I had literally 24 hours to pull, which was fine. I'm like, I got this. I went down to Albright Library. I went to all my contacts, quickly texting PR from Valentino. I'm like, well, you need red Valentino, this place, that place. And had kind of things lined up, and we got hit with a bad snowstorm. And New York was like, I know it's rare, but New York had like 3 feet of snow. This was a few years ago. I want to say actually more than a few, maybe 2016. And everything was shut down. And I was like, oh my God, I need to get this dress. This was the next day. And I ended up getting plenty of dresses. That person ended up completely just ignoring what I pulled and what the next person pulled and the next person pulled, and ended up wearing something she wanted to wear and didn't use any stylist, but didn't tell any of us. That was the point, but it's okay. I get it. So a lot of hard work wasted, but it was literally like, Tina, can you get this? We need a gown, a red gown, not off the rack. It's not like I can just run to the store and pull it, or just whip it out of my pocket. So, but that's how the fashion industry goes.
Fashion emergency.
Yes, hence the name, right? All right, I want to pivot a little bit and talk a little bit more about what you have in the store. So talk to me. I've been in the store and it is fabulous. And once again, if you haven't, you must go. It's 25 Lewis Street in Greenwich, Connecticut. And do you have a location in the city still, or is that just where it's made? Okay.
It's a showroom and factory.
Okay. And where is that located?
143 West 29th between 6th and 7th Avenue in Manhattan.
Okay. Oh my gosh, I walk by that all the time.
So right by FIT.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I want to talk about shearlings, because this is one of my favorite types of coats. And talk to us about what that is, how that's made, and what you sell, what you have.
So we make a tremendous amount of shearlings in all different types. So shearlings can be very sheared, like a sheared mink, and they can be thick like a fox. So we carry everything.
Okay.
We carry lots of colors in all different type of styles, from evening wear to full-length coats to the floor.
Okay. And what is the main difference between, like, a shearling is usually suede on one side?
Leather
or leather? No? Okay.
Could be. So shearlings now have evolved. We can do that type of shearling where it's suede out. We do a lot of reversible coats.
Oh.
That could be leather, Napa, or suede. And more about the Napa on the reverse, and it's a sheepskin. So the shearlings are mostly sheepskin or goat. There's things like a cashmere goat, which was on the cover of Elle magazine on Adele in September.
I remember.
And that was like a very thick cashmere goat, which feels beautiful and soft.
Right.
So a lot of them now are more fur out, and they look almost like a fur, but they're shearling. And you could reverse them.
So, though, that's what I was going to ask. Are there benefits to a shearling? Is there a pro and con for a shearling versus fur? Or is it just personal taste? It's
personal taste. I mean, a fur might be a little bit warmer than a regular shearling, but it's lightweight. There's so many different. Some that look sheared, like a nice solid piece. Other are curly.
Right, yeah.
There's so many different looks, and it's just a personal preference. I don't see. Do you, Jenny, feel like there's something?
No, there's so much diversity within the shearling category that you could have, something that looks super, super wild and fluffy, or like very sleek. But perhaps, one distinction from like a mink or a sable and shearling is that, we have the ability to really restyle minks and shearlings. They have a longevity if they're taken care of. Shearlings, it's a little bit harder to restyle.
Oh
yeah.
If that makes
sense.
So
a shearling is, you could do some things, but you can't restyle it completely like a mink.
You might be limited.
Also, shearling is not considered fur.
I found that interesting.
Yeah.
You told me that actually
Yeah,
at the store.
they don't consider it fur. So a fur-free designer that we
Right.
work with
Yeah.
will have shearlings. And the shearlings look more like fur than some regular
Yeah.
furs.
Because where does the shearling come from?
it comes from a lamb
Okay.
or a goat.
But it's not fur. It's not considered
They don't
fur.
consider that fur.
Right. It's the skin, right?
It is still the same and everything, but because they feel that there might be a purpose for the meat more than,
I see.
even though, like certain furs are used
Yeah.
for their meat too a little bit, but more for the pelt itself.
Interesting. Okay. All right. So then on that note, because we were mentioning the difference between the fur, what are some other services that you guys offer? And how do you clean a fur?
Oh, okay. So we offer all services. So we do everything. We have an in-storage house, a cold storage vault, because coats during the summer should be kept in cold storage because it needs to be cool. So we have an ice house, basically.
Oh.
Keep it at 50 degrees or less.
Do you serve vodka in that ice house?
Yes. We serve vodka in the showroom.
All right. I like that. So that's how you should. So if I buy a coat and I say, oh my gosh, Nick, I live in an apartment on the Upper West Side, or I live in, somewhere where I don't have a place to store it.
We store it.
store it.
We keep storage. We pick up in New York City. In Greenwich, we don't pick up. They bring it drop it off at the store.
Okay.
We take it back to our own in-house storage vault. We store about 4,000 coats. We have everything on the premises. It never leaves our place. We check it for anything that I might need, a loose hook or something. And when you get it back, it's refreshed and steamed up and everything looks good. So storage is a big thing, and it preserves the coat because heat is not good for shearling, leather, or fur.
Right.
It dries the coat out.
Dries it, yep.
So you have to be careful with that. So we do that. We have our remodeling and, changing of styles and taking older coats and
Upcycling?
Upcycling. You can make them into blankets, pillows, new styles. You could cover a chair. You can do many different things, and that's what we do also.
Okay.
And then we have the different products that we sell.
So the cleaning is done in a very natural way.
Yeah, the cleaning is done in a drum, and we have a process that it's put into a drum with basically towels, and on the coat we spray some type of cleaning fluid
Okay.
with the towels only. So it's kept in there in the drums, and slowly over the couple hours that it's in there, it wipes the coat clean. And then we have a hot steam, just a quick steam, that will steam off everything else.
Got it. What about like odors? Does it take that off too?
It takes out some, yes.
Okay. Because that's a hard one, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
especially
Yeah.
with vintage.
Yes.
I have a lot of clients that bring me vintage coats or jackets or stoles, and we can clean them. But sometimes if the odors don't come out, we can always reline them.
Oh, good to know.
Which is a good
Right.
option.
Yeah,
Good to know.
You take out the lining and also take out whatever's inside. Like when you make a fur coat, beside the fur work, there's a tremendous amount of tailoring work, like on a man's suit. On a
Right.
good man's suit, you could take out everything, the horsehair that was in it and everything else, and redo the suit and make it look new. You can take an old coat, take out everything that was in it from before, the way they had the finishing, the lamb's wool, the hymo and everything, the lining, redo it, put it back into these drums that also soften the coat a little, these large drums that circulate, and it will soften the coat, and then put in brand new finishing and hymo and lamb's wool, and the coat is completely different. It will feel lighter and
It's a new life.
right.
Wow. Amazing. I love this. This 9 lives of a fur coat. All right. So we are almost out of time. But before we go, I want to mention, are there any upcoming events at the store? Anything we should know about? I know you have some curated type of, because you do some other things in the off months, I think, correct? Jenny?
Yeah, we just had a really nice event with Kelly Ben-Simone. She was there at our store last week promoting a new collection that we'll have in for fall. So that was a preview. And now, as we go into the spring, summer months, we're going to be having a curated collection coming into the store. So, we wanted to pick like-minded brands. So we carefully selected, we will have these beautiful dresses from Greece called Nima, and they're handmade in Greece with these beautiful embroideries with like a very cool resort feeling. We have some beautiful bags that are made by a family in Colombia, and the women hand sew the bags and decorate the bags by hand.
Wow.
Also, we will have a second collection it's called Mothers in Action, and they're handmade beautiful sweaters, which are knitted by mothers who are able to stay home rather than go out to work, and they're actually really, really beautiful. And just a small collection that we want to support that are brands that are family owned or women owned,
Local artisans type of thing. Yeah.
But from
Greece.
From Greece and other countries. So that was important.
Also,
to
our
us.
beautiful straw hats and bags
Yes.
that are made in Greece and hand painted by a mother and daughter.
Right.
That when I went there and we picked out these beautiful little bags, straw, like a beach bag,
Yep.
and straw hats. And then when I was like, oh, wow, how many people, who does this work or whatever? And it's just her and her mom. So we ordered it in October, and it took 6 months for her to take everything, slowly hand paint all the designs we
Right.
picked. It's unbelievable, too. It's fun. It's really a fun.
I can't wait to see those.
And they're really beautiful.
I saw pictures.
Yeah.
That sounds like it's right up my street. All right, well, thank you, Jenny, and thank you, Nick from Pologeorgis. Don't forget, it's 25 Lewis Street in Greenwich, Connecticut, and it's pologeorgis.com, or you can find them on Instagram, where I do all my shopping. Their IG is Pologeorgis. So they will be back. So be sure, if you like this episode, listen to them in a few weeks. They will be back for the next episode. Thanks for coming to the Fashion
Thank you,
Department.
Tina. Appreciate
Thank
you
you,
having
Tina.
us.
Thanks for joining me in the Fashion Department. Be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. For more inspiration and fashion content, check out my website and follow along on Instagram at wardrobe_envy. And a special thanks to the Factory Underground Studio for recording and producing this show. See you next time.